wool season going?
It's a pretty good season so far compared to last season. We have seen some significant price increases locally. We've seen the New Zealand dollar weaken significantly against the basket of currencies that we trade against. There's four main currencies, which is US dollar, euro, sterling and Australian dollar. The market indicators for the different types of wool have seen some quite big increases. A lot of that is currency related. The merino wool this year is about 15% above where it was this time last year. The mid-micron has been the star of the season. That's nearly 40% on average above where it was the previous season, so some significant gains.
Mr. McKinsey?
Yes, they have something to answer there, telling people that in that sector that they should go and grow potatoes. For those that have stayed in the mid-micron sector, they're doing substantially better than they've done for a long, long time. The fine crossbred sector, which is mainly the Chinese market, that is around about 20% above where it was last year, and even the coarse crossbred is 15% on average above where it was last year. Now that's against the basket of currencies that we have. When you look at the specifics, like say the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar, we are 30% weaker against the US dollar for the same period last year. Now you might ask, well, if we're 30% weaker, why isn't the New Zealand price, say for crossbred sector, 30% stronger, which is the normal equation that happens. Part of that is that, as we know, all commodities in the world are struggling a little bit. China's a bit on the slowdown, and they are the major manufacturing powerhouse for a lot of the rest of the world. So you have this sort of slowdown in commodities and a very hand-to-mouth way of operating at the moment. So we have the scenario that the farmers in New Zealand are getting effectively half the gain that should be there on the currency, and our clients are taking the other half of the gain. Now, you think that's not quite fair, we should get all of it here, but what it is doing is actually stabilising our market and keeping New Zealand wool prices above our competing markets, etc. So it's sort of not super good news, but it's better news than it could be.
I mean, we are, by reputation, the best wool growers in the world, aren't we?
Yes, and I think that's been reflected in our market prices at the moment. There is that recognition. Because the pipeline is quite empty, anybody who is buying wool wants to be able to buy it today, ship it tomorrow, and process it through their system to get it into the marketplace straight away. So if you are buying wool that is a little bit hard to process, may have some processing issues, could hold up your production, then that is a worry for you. So they are tending to target the better wools so they can move them through very quickly and take advantage of the market at the moment. Case in point is short, fine crossbred wools between say 30 micron and 33 microns of between 1 to 3 to 2 to 4 inch. It is just running hot at the moment, and it is for a specialist product in China called face-to-face processing, where they make a yarn and they make it two sides together and then cut the material down through the middle. This is hot in the fashion market at the moment, so they'll buy it off us today, and the next day they'll open up their letter of credit and say, could you scour it last week instead of next week, please, and get it on a vessel.
Oh, yeah. No problem at all.
No problem at all, yeah. So you have segments in the market that are super hot, but because of this whole scenario with the commodity market and people aren't too sure which way things are going to jump in the long term, this is what is putting the pressure on these segments, and they want it straight away so that they can capture the market advantage.
God, how long have you and I and John Dawson been saying, let's make wool fashionable again?
Yes, but it's a fickle business, unfortunately. What we are seeing, of course, is that there is a bit of a trend back to natural products, particularly out of Northern Europe. There's quite a demand about knowing where it came from, how it was processed. We're now facing things in our industry where we have to give assurances around animal health, how they looked after.
Really? You guys are hitting the traceability and accountability and
Very much
transporting
so.
again.
And it's not as if it's from the authorities in each country, it is from individual companies or retail chains such as IKEA, which is one of the largest retail chains in the world. Another one out of Japan is called Muji. they're very much requiring information around how the animal's treated, how they're shorn, what is their animal health. They also want to know around the ethics of what we're doing. We even have to answer questions around child labour, which we find in our country
that would
quite
have been
unusual.
pretty tough when I was being brought up on a farm.
It's unpaid child labour, that's different.
Absolutely. It was, yeah. I mean, it was, yeah. Well, I mean, I was knee-high to a perching pullet when I started at the shearing shed. But anyway, all joking aside, but yeah, paid as in non-family.
Exactly. And there are countries where it has been a major issue. India has been one in particular, a lot of Asian countries, of course. So because our product goes to a lot of those countries for first stage processing, either into a yarn or a fabric or even a finished article, and then retailed into Western Europe or Japan or America, the consumers in those countries are asking questions about what has happened in the life cycle of this product, and has it been handled ethically. So we have to set up systems and reporting now around where does it come from, what happened to it through the pathway.
Unbelievable.
So it's a different world.
How do you do that? Because I mean,
It's a lot of it is through closer relationship with farmers and farmer groups. There are farmer declarations around what they do, what pesticides they use. We have to prove the systems and the track and trace that we have, that every lot is recorded, every kilo is tracked. The IWTO, International Wool Textile Organisation, which governs how we trade internationally, not just for New Zealand, but for all the wool exporting countries in the world, of which New Zealand is a member country, are now all collaboratively working together to come up with a animal welfare standard that the wool exporting and producing countries can aim to use as a mechanism for when we are queried about how are your animals housed and looked after.
God, unbelievable. Malcolm, what was that thing that we launched at the Untouched World that the shearers were working with and went in conjunction with you guys and such?
Yes, and that is becoming part of the documentation, because we have lots of segments within the industry. You have the Shearers Association, you have the Council of Wool Exporters, the National Council of Wool Interests, you have the Brokers Association. So all these groups are working together to build the building blocks that will make the standard that we all work to in the industry and internationally. And it's about differentiating our processes and product and keeping our wool at the forefront of our clients' minds as being a sustainable product.